Welcome to Dad Hammer, Bolters and Booze, where we discuss all things Warhammer while staying hydrated with an adult beverage. I am David the Warboss, and I'm joined by the Dad Hammer crew, the Dad Hammer team, the amigos, some posse, old guys, and somebody who's not as old as Steve and I. Joined by Medicae Steve and Chief Librarian Lawson. Lawson, I'll start with you. How we doing this week? You feeling good? You feeling spry? Ready to chime in with us old guys?
I'm gonna do my best to keep up with you old folks.
With the pace.
Listen, I'll catch up to you guys eventually. One day I'll be as old as you guys.
I don't think that's how that works.
That's exactly how that works.
Well, but we'll be older.
Potato.
Okay, there's some math involved, and we'll just skip over that part. All right, another roaring start. Steve, bring us back to level playing field. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm doing the life gives you lemons. Let's make some lemonade with vodka in it kind of mood tonight. So yeah, man, just good.
That's a good response. No math involved. See how smooth that was? It just went straight to the alcohol.
No.
Well, it depends. How many lemons were you provided with?
All right, let's settle down.
Fair enough.
We have a great show for you. We are going to first talk about the Battleforce boxes, both coming out for 40K and Age of Sigmar. Really cool value, $200-ish or so, and you get a ton of models in there, both on Age of Sigmar and 40K, just regardless of which one you play. We'll also discuss the Stormbringer magazine, which I use magazine in air quotes. It's more of a model subscription that you pay a monthly fee for, and then you get models direct to your mailbox. Pretty cool service. It's been available in Europe for a while, and now it's coming to the US, so really exciting there. And then we'll round out the show with the Warpforge game that has just hit Steam Early Access. It's a card battler game, so if you played something like that on the video game side on PC or mobile, you'll be familiar with this, but with the Warhammer spin. I'm not a digital card battle game player, but this one scratched an itch I didn't know that I would actually enjoy. So pretty cool. Stay tuned for that. But first, we're going to start with the most important part of every Dad Hammer podcast, and that is, what are we drinking? Steve, I'm going to start with you. What you got tonight?
Okay. I'm just going to my go-to, a little bit of bourbon, but tonight I'm drinking, it's called Smoke Wagon. It's uncut, unfiltered. I think it's a barrel proof, so it's kind of high test. But I think I think they just take this right out of the barrel and put it in a bottle, and it's kind of nice. It's really
stay with
good.
us. Stay with us tonight, Steve.
You know,
go slow.
Yeah, if you hear a thud, I'll be okay.
Okay.
I'll be all right.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's good to play it safe every now and then.
Sure thing.
Or lazy, however.
Or lazy.
Playing it safe and or lazy sometimes can be the same thing, and both are acceptable. I'll say that.
Yes,
cool.
Agreed.
Well, Lawson, bringing the mocktail, I assume, with us tonight. Are you also playing it safe?
I actually have a bit of a mocktail. It's not going to be fancy themed this go around.
That's okay.
But it's called Mango Margarita is the name of the mocktail that I ended up using, the mocktail mix. So it's just so it's the same thing as last time. It was the pre-made cocktail mixtures. I just created them with no alcohol. So I took another one of the sparkling water lemonade flavors and just added a mango margarita mixture to it. And that's what we got. So it's pretty good. It kind of just makes me feel like I'm on the beach somewhere. It's just got that very nice tropical fruity vibe. It's pretty good. Mango's a little heavy, but I think I probably could have just added a little bit of extra sparkling water and dialed it down a bit. But it's pretty good. It's impressive.
A little beach mocktail in the middle of fall.
Nice.
Of course.
Nice. Though it's 80 degrees
See?
here.
That's true. That's true. That's disappointing. I always want it to be cold. It needs to be cold in October.
Oh, it will
Okay.
be.
Oh, hey,
Don't
next
you
week,
worry.
next Tuesday, a low of 27.
Yum.
I know.
See, that's what
Glorious.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get snow on Halloween,
That would be awesome.
and then you can blame me.
It wouldn't be the first
You
time.
can blame me.
That wouldn't be the first time, man.
Well, cool. I have the Warhammer themed cocktail this evening, and I've got one that it kind of looks. It's got a Ninja Turtle green to it, and I thought I'd go with something very orky because of Orktober. Again, happy Orktober to all who celebrate, and by all who celebrate, I mean me, because I'm the only orc player in our group. But that's that's fine. I'm solo, and this one looks very green, and I am calling it in honor of Gazgul Thraka, Daka Smacka Thraka, because it's got
I love
3
it.
ingredients, and I don't know, I just like saying Daka 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 or Smacka Smacka Smacka. It's fun, and it rhymes, and anything that rhymes is always good. That's Dadhammer rule number 319.
319.
Yeah, don't Lawson, you keeping track of these rules?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, note them down in the official Dadhammer ledger.
Definitely.
Okay, good. All right, so the recipe for this one is 1.5 ounces of Midori melon liqueur. Don't ask me. I went to the liquor store and I saw some green liqueur. I'm like, well, that's going to be good. And sure enough, I found a recipe online for I think it's more of a Halloween cocktail. You're supposed to put some dry ice in it to make it all smoky and stuff. Yeah. So
Neat.
it's got a melony fruit flavor to it. And then 1.5 ounces of cointreau, I think. Is it cointreau? I think that's how you're supposed to say it, cointreau.
Sounds right.
Or triple sec, whichever you prefer. And then 1 ounce of lemon juice. And you stir all that up, strain it over glass, and ice or no ice, depending on how you like it. But it's pretty good. It's almost like drinking like an alcoholic high C. I don't know what it reminds me of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's good.
All right.
It's one of those where you don't know that's got alcohol in it.
Wait a minute. How are you going to point fingers at my mango drink, but you're over here drinking a alcoholic high C? Now hold on a minute.
Because if I added dry ice to it, it would look like a witch's brew. See?
Okay, but you didn't.
Listen, look, I make the rules, and it's Orktober.
Cowabunga,
and
it's
Orktober, not turtles, orcs. There's a huge difference, and how dare you suggest otherwise?
That's true. The turtles have armor. The orcs just have t-shirts.
Yes, very, very thin t-shirts.
Yeah.
Very thin. That are only worth a 6+ save. It's really annoying, but that's okay. Well, anyway, I'm going to enjoy my Daka Smacka Thraka. Man, now I'm regretting. That's a mouthful. That's a lot of words.
No, I like it.
I should-
No.
I should probably put some numbers in there too, just to add some complexity. I won't do that. Well, you guys enjoy your drinks. I will enjoy mine. Cheers and bottoms up, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So let's talk Battleforce boxes. I always love this time of year. I mean, of course, because of fall weather, winter, holidays. It's awesome. I love it. But ever since I started getting into Warhammer, it's going to sound a little weird, but I always look forward to when they announce the Battleforce boxes, because I know that means that Christmas is coming. And I get super excited because they throw out this stuff, and it makes me think, oh wow, look at all these things that I could purchase either for myself or put it on my Christmas list, and then none of my family buys it for me because they don't want to buy me more Warhammer.
Because you have enough, David.
Yeah, no, that's not true. I never have enough. That's like having enough socks, right? You can never have enough socks. Just don't give me that for Christmas. I mean, if you're going to give me socks,
wear a hole in my Boom Daka Snaz wagon.
They already has plenty of holes in the Boom Daka Snaz wagon. So, if you are not familiar with the Battleforce box, this is both 40K and Age of Sigmar, and it's essentially a really large. I wouldn't even call it a starter set. It's beyond a starter set, and it's something that helps you round out your army. Usually themed around a couple of units specifically, maybe vehicle heavy, maybe monster heavy, maybe troops heavy, but they're typically a pretty good value. It always depends on the type of army that it comes with. So it's going to be around $200 American USD. So it's the models, if you price them all out, you save anywhere from, I want to say, 20 to upwards up to 40-50%. Just really depends. But just exciting to kind of see these box sets all together, and there's usually a really cool monster, a large vehicle, and this year is no exception. So they announced we'll start with 40K. They announced the Space Marine box, Astra Militarum, World Eaters, Orcs, Votan, and Tyranids. So I will start. We'll start with the Space Marine box, and this one, again, more Space Marines. I wasn't really. I don't know. This one just looked okay. This was a box set with some jump pack intercessors, a captain, some of the ATV guys, and some outriders. It just looked kind of boring. I don't know. What did you guys think of this one?
I was very underwhelming. I mean, I think that's for a very specific army style, but I don't think that's a good value.
Yeah.
If that's $200, I don't know. I mean, that's just those aren't like super duper. I don't know much about the jump pack assault intercessors right now as far as gameplay. The ATV and the bikes are okay. I have them. I mean, there's just not a lot of like. I don't know. I don't think that's worth $200 or
Well, I mean,
$200.
there's nothing set to say it's going to be 200, but
Yeah, it's just assumption.
I would
True.
assume it's going to be 200 because all
Mhm.
Battle Force boxes, that would just be easier to say. Every Battle Force
Mhm.
box is $200, and these are just a ton of jump packs. So,
Mhm.
Lawson, I know you play. Well, are you still playing Blood Angels, or have you moved on?
Oh, I've moved on. They're
Okay.
they're not as
They're dead to you now?
yeah, they're dead to me. Useless. No,
Just like their Primarch.
Oh.
Well, I heard
Yeah.
a rumor that
No.
that they're potentially going to be bringing back dead Primarchs. That there's a
Oh
chance.
my goodness.
We don't deal in rumors on this podcast ever.
That's a lie, and you know it.
Yeah, I know.
I mixed feelings on the Space Marines. The assault, the jump pack assault guys are kind of cool. I think rules tabletop wise, like right now they're pretty good. I think you can field 5 or 10 of them for only 85 points. They're pretty cheap. They can move really fast, and they do decent damage to other infantry. If you ever used or saw the stats for the original jump assault guys, the firstborn dudes before they went Primaris, it's like them, but just a little bit better.
Mm.
So they're
Mhm.
not bad, but Steve, you were right. It's very
Boring.
fits it well, yeah, but fits a very specific theme. And if you don't lean into that theme, then it's kind of a bit of a waste. And
Mhm.
the ATV never really seemed super interesting to me. And I have this weird spot with the Outriders where I painted them up and fielded them one time, and they got just completely destroyed on the first turn. And I've never wanted to field them again.
I remember that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
you were
remember when
there.
that happened.
It was you. You're the one.
Were you there?
I was totally there. And even better
Oh
is I
man.
killed them all with orc shooting,
Yeah,
which just
Ooh.
man,
but
insult to injury.
it was the giant orc robot, the
The battle.
grandma stomper.
No. That was the battle wagon.
Was it? I thought it was
Yeah. Well,
Grandma
the
Stompa because it was like the Lego version.
no, that was you're talking about the Morkanaut.
Same difference.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. I killed you with orc shooting, which is just sad.
Yeah.
But either way, I think the Battle Force box looks like to me they're just trying to sell a bunch of jump pack models. That's what it looks
Yeah.
like to me, and they couldn't figure out what to do to add that people probably don't want, and they got to get rid of some models, so they threw in
Yeah.
the bikes and the ATV, and so it's like, hey, we're trying to sell you a bunch of jump packs, and then here's some other stuff that you probably don't want, but you're going to want, if you really want the jump packs, this is probably still a good deal. But they've come out with other Space Marine stuff, plenty of other Space Marine options if you're into those. So I wouldn't necessarily go for this Battle Force box unless you are super into jump packs, and because there's a ton of them in here. So 15 jump pack intercessors. So if that's your jam, this is all for you. But moving on to slightly more exciting, the Astra Militarum box, which has 20 of the Cadian shock troops and a command squad, and then 2 of the Rogel Dorn tanks. And I thought, this one looks pretty good. It comes with the tanks. This is to me the better. It looks cooler. You get some vehicles. The shock troops aren't anything to write home about necessarily, but you got the cool flag bearer there, the banner waver, which adds some color and some difference, different types of visual to the set. But I'm not an Astra Militarum player, but our friend Bill is definitely considering it, and I think this would be actually a solid purchase if you're thinking about starting a guard army. This is a good start. Plus, you get some cool tanks. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about this one?
I like it. I'm I'm on Bill. I'm on Team Bill here. I've not that I don't have enough that I haven't done, but I really am interested in at least an Astra Militarum combat patrol.
Yeah.
Um, this isn't real popular, but I have a ton of files that I can print. I could pretty much print an Astra Militarum proxy army.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I was like, well, I might as well, go to that strength because I've purchased a lot of these, files through Patreons and stuff. So, but this box looks good. The combat patrol box is about $160, and it has everything but the tanks. And instead of the 2 tanks, it has a Sentinel. I don't know how much those Rogel Dorn tanks cost, but that would be a pretty reasonable, kind of replacement. 2 tanks for that Sentinel and a little more money. I think that's a pretty good, start. If
Well, I
if you're
mean, the Rogel Dorn, I just looked it up. They go for
Mhm.
retail $100 a piece. So
Really?
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and
Oh,
this is
that
an example of
true.
where this actually is a really good buy because just the 2 tanks alone. So for example, and
hmm
this is where they get you because you're going to look at this box, and let's say you're a guard player, you're thinking about it, and you're like, wow, those tanks look really cool, but I don't want the
hmm
rest of the guys, or vice versa. You want the troops, but you don't want the tanks. But you're essentially you're paying the $200, and you're getting all of these models in there, and then there's going to be 2 or 3, maybe a good 30 to 40% of the box that you really, if you think about it, you just get it for quote unquote free. You're paying.
hmm
So if you were thinking about buying tanks in the future, you need to get this box because you get 2 of them for the same price that you would buy them outright, and then they throw in all the extra, the shock troops, the command
Yeah,
squad, and you get all this extra stuff. So that's another way to think
that
about
is good.
this is
True.
even if you're not necessarily really excited about the additional models in the box or all of them, that they don't all have to be a home run for you. They can be, you can look at half the box and say, okay, I really want these, these specific models, but the rest of them I could take or leave. Well, the good news is that when you buy the box set, you're really paying for the ones that you want, and the rest of it you get it for
Mm,
air quote free. So, but
that's fair.
this the box set looked cool. We'll move on to World Eaters, and the big model here, of course, would be Angron. I mean, how can you not love this box? It's got Angron, got 10 Corn Berserkers, and then 6 of the Exalted, 8 bound. A pretty solid box. I as our friend Bill plays World Eaters. If he's listening to this, I highly recommend it. This would be a really good value just to fill out the army. You're always going to need more berserkers. I mean, who doesn't want more berserkers in your World Eater army? And
Mm-hmm.
then Angron, it's one of my favorite models in all of
hmm
Warhammer, in my opinion. So, really cool box. And then Angron himself, for example, is going for $170 retail.
Ooh,
So,
wow.
I mean, if you buy the
That's
if you buy the box, you get Angron, and of
Mhm.
course, if you shout out to Blackthorn Game Center, if you buy it at Blackthorn, you get it a whole lot cheaper than retail. So, highly
Mhm.
recommend anyone in the Dixon, Fairview, Tennessee, or Nashville area to head out to Blackthorn and just call them up and get this really really cool box set and get a healthy discount. So the value even goes up from there. But you get the Berserkers, you get the Exalted, and a really good value in my opinion.
World
Um,
Eaters are fun and scary. Yeah, that's pretty.
yeah, I mean, I was listening to another podcast where they were talking about the latest tournament with the Adeptus Sororitas took first place, but World Eaters, I
Mhm.
believe, were second, maybe. And
Nice.
just talking about all of the death that they deal out, especially in melee, lots of mortal wounds and just crazy amounts of attacks. And Angron gets to come back. Just there's a lot of cool
Mhm.
stuff built into World Eaters that make it a really cool army. And Angron is just an amazing looking model. I'm looking at it right now. There's so many skulls, so many skulls. But yeah, highly recommend it if you're a World Eaters player or maybe just thinking about starting the army. Um, we'll move on then to orcs, everyone's favorite, right? Okay,
Sure.
Orktober.
It
Um,
sure.
I'm a little divided on this one. This one has a ton of models because orcs,
Mhm.
there's just a ton. But they've got the Mosrog Scragbad. Well, that's a mouthful too. One of the character units, one of the newer ones. Beast Boss on Squigosaur, and then they've got some Smash a Squigs, a Pain Boss, 10 Beast Snagaboys, and then a Kill Rig, which is the new kind of vehicle thing for orcs. And I personally, I mean, I play orcs. I've got 3,500 points or so of orcs, but all of my orcs are more of the Mad Max variety. And
Right.
I remember when the Beast Snagga Boys stuff came out, and it just didn't do it for me. It
Mhm.
strikes me with the squigs. I'm not saying that they're ugly looking models. They're closer to Age of Sigmar, the Oryx to me, and they're really cool sculpts. But the whole caveman Neanderthal, bone spear type thing just doesn't do it for me. It's not for me as an orc player. I want more Mad Max. I want
Mhm.
more Rucka Truck, Squig Buggy, Death Killer War Trike. I want Boomdaka Snazwagon. I want this crazy stuff sprinting to the middle of the battlefield and exploding, which is what they do
Yeah.
best. And this doesn't really do that. This is charging. They're all on Squigosaurs and all this other stuff, and it looks cool, but it has more of a caveman aesthetic, and it's just ironically this would be a great purchase, a great value for me to fill out my orc force. I'm just not feeling
Mhm.
it though. So no, just my opinion. I know you guys aren't orc players, but any thoughts on this box?
I'd kind of feel about the same. It feels weird. It's like I mean, just looking at the picture as a whole and not being an orc player. So if I just looked at the picture of the Beast Snagga Stampede and knew nothing about 40k or orcs or kind of whether it was 40k Age of Sigmar, right? My first initial thought, without really staring at it, would think that it's fantasy, just because
Yeah.
they ride the beasts and
Yep.
there's not a very obvious sci-fi look to it aside from the giant wagon with a cannon mounted to the
Yeah, the
top.
the kill the kill rig looks more 40k, but
But that was the
it's
only thing.
still, yeah, with a giant rhino looking squig
Yeah.
on the front of it. It's all hilarious. It's all orky and great,
Mhm.
but yeah, I agree. It's more of a fantasy vibe, and even the squigs to me don't have enough metal and weird vehicle looking contraption stuff attached to them. It's
Hmm.
it's more dinosaur esque to me, and
Yeah.
that's just not my jam.
Yeah, I was thinking it had that Orcs by Mattel look. Uh, they look they look good, but I don't remember the toy line because my kids had it, but it was literally like this. It was dinosaurs with armor, and
Oh
little
yeah.
dudes that rode the dinosaurs. I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
your
yeah.
kids had
No,
it
I
too.
know what you're talking about.
And I thought, oh my gosh, this is like
Yep.
little people orcs. And
Okay. It's
I,
not
it's
it's not that
cool,
bad.
but
Yeah.
it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It is a little more menacing than that. But yeah, this kind of falls in that the Space Marine. I mean, that you're looking. This is a very specific aesthetic
Hmm.
and army type. I think it would look out of place. Like your army I've seen, it would look out of place.
Agreed. Well, I mean, it's still a pretty good value. So again, the value is still there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but for me, not necessarily a buy as an orc player, but I'm sure someone else would see value in it. There were two other boxes, and I'll speak quickly on those. One was the Votan, everybody's favorite army, and the new Votan box actually is a really good box set. You get the Hearthguard, which are some of the best as far as statistics and game mechanics go. Some of the best units in the Votan army. Really, really solid. Great for the boarding actions. I mean, they are doom to any person playing against them in boarding actions, but really
Yes, they
solid.
are.
Really solid in the larger 40K game. And then you get the Hecaton Land Fortress, um, and you get the Grimnir and the Sagittar, the ATV. So really solid box set. If you are thinking about playing Botan, this is a great value. I mean, every single unit in this box set is viable, and I highly recommend it. If I didn't have such a backlog, I would probably get one. So,
So,
um,
side note, have you looked at the new White Dwarf at all?
not yet.
Ah,
Okay.
I don't want to spoil it for you, but I do. Because, yeah, I do. There's a dude in there took a Sagittar
Mm-hmm.
and kit bashed it with a was it an Invictor warsuit or something?
Ooh. Oh
He to-
no.
oh man, he totally made a Votan
Oh
dreadnought.
my gosh.
You gotta look
See,
when we're done. You have to look.
all right. Well, it's sitting right here next to me, and it's still in the shrink wrap.
Ah,
So, with a
don't
really cool Tyranid cover to it.
don't rub it in. Don't rub it
Yeah,
in. I haven't gotten
No,
mine
no,
yet.
you'll get
yeah.
yours eventually. Calm down. But speaking of Tyranids, they round out the last Battleforce box. I mean, are really cool. They had that Norn Emissary, which is the
Mm-hmm.
the giant new Tyranid model. Looks amazing. They got a Hive Tyrant in there, and then of course, what Battleforce box of Tyranids would it be without a ton of? They have the Hormagaunts, they have Gene Stealers, Ripper Swarms, they have, I mean, just tons of stuff here. So
Mm-hmm.
really solid box. If I have tons of, I still have the Leviathan Tyranids sitting primed but yet unpainted in my cabinet. So it's just there's just a lot of stuff that is tempting me. But anyway, really cool 40K boxes. Let's quickly move over now to the Age of Sigmar. They didn't get as many, but
Mm-hmm.
still some really, really good ones here. First, Lawson, I saw that the Bone Reapers are getting a Battle Force box. Looked pretty cool to me. Did you? I don't know if you had a chance to check this one out.
Yeah, I gave it a look. Um, by the way,
I
little
saw it. I
yeah,
saw it. The
the
Harvester.
Gothazard Harvester. Yeah.
Yeah, AKA mulch. That's the mulch man. So if you're unfamiliar with this is on our last podcast. I could not remember the name of the stupid model, and by stupid I mean annoying and aggravating.
Stupid.
Amazing looking, but I called it the mulch man because it eats all of your models and spits out skeletons. It's extremely annoying,
It was a
but
good time.
it's in there.
But the box is. Uh, if you're a new player, if you have no OCR Bone Reapers and you're trying to get into it, I think it's probably worth it for $200. It's not bad. You get it looks like two 10-man blocks of Mortek Guard. You get the Liege Cavalos. You get the 5 horsemen. I can't remember their name. The Death Riders. You get the Morghast, 4 Morghast, and a Harvester for $200. You know, if it still lands in that same ballpark. That's pretty good. That's a good force to start with. The downside would be that if you already own OCR Bone Reapers, it's kind of a net loss because the Bone Reapers don't really have a lot of variety in their army. To be quite honest with you, what you're looking at right here for the Praetorian Spearhead is pretty much their entire army list, with the exception of the big fancy Mortarch, whose name I cannot remember off the top of my head. And then maybe another one or two characters. They don't have a ton of models in the list to begin with. So if you're new, it's fantastic. If you're kind of been playing Bone Reapers for a while, it's probably not worth it, just because you're going to end up with a ton of duplicates. And in most cases, you typically don't need to add in more than 20 of the sword and board shield guys usually. So
yeah, but still a good box, I think.
Yeah.
For this is the common theme with all of these Battleforce boxes, is that if you're thinking about starting an army or need to fill out an existing force, these are phenomenal buys. And I'll throw this out there too, that every single year these come out, they sell out very, very quickly. So don't wait around. They're not going to just show up. I mean, they go really, really quickly unless nobody cares about the specific army. But to me, all the armies that they released this year for the Battleforce boxes, Age of Sigmar and 40K alike, are pretty sweet. There's really no stinkers here other than the Space Marines. So maybe you'll find that one, but the other one's not so much. So Bone Reapers are there. And then they've also got the Seraphon box. Our friend Lee plays Seraphon. I think this is they have the what's the main frog guys, the Star Master. Yeah.
Slan.
Like
Slan mages.
the Buddha looking frog man. I mean, that's basically what he is. Really cool looking model. And then they got the crocodiles. Those would be the Agrodon Lancers, I believe. Or no, those are the Croxagores. They're the Croxagores and the War Spawned, and then the Hunters, which are the the lizards riding dinosaurs. Which, if you don't, if you're not into that, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Just a really cool looking army, and a pretty good value here. So I'm assuming again $200, but really good value. Then moving on, then Steve, I'm gonna turn this over to you. Slaves to Darkness, really cool looking box here, but I don't know. Do you already have all these models?
So I have everything in here with the Vanguard, more or less. So the Vanguard box comes with the 10 Chaos Warriors. It comes with a generic Chaos Lord. It comes with the Chaos Knights, and it has the Chariot. And you can do a couple of versions of it. It's a pretty good box. It's the Vanguard box, so I assume that's like a AOS version of Combat Patrol, sort of.
Yeah.
It's not a great balanced box necessarily. I ended up buying the Eternus blade of the First Prince because I do have the big Bellacore model I printed out, and those are very synergistic units. The Chariot's seems like pretty good, but the other thing, the Chaos Chosen and the Ogroid Theridons are almost auto includes. I mean, those are such good units. This is just a much better and well-rounded box, and you're not talking, much more money as far as I go, because everything that I've bought, I've probably got more money in it in what I own than what this will cost. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean,
And
but this isn't a bad box set.
no, it's a good set. It's a really good set.
I think it's just where you are currently, and
Correct.
you've made a couple of purchases, but for anyone looking to start, this is a pretty solid start.
Because eventually I'm going to get the Theridons and I'm going to get the Chaos Chosen, and then I have all the rest of it. Um, and that would with some Warcry war bands I have that you can add into the army.
Yeah.
That'll easily make a 2,000 point army, I think,
Mm-hmm.
if
Mm-hmm.
I remember right. But this is a really really good start. Much better than the Vanguard box, I think.
Yeah, agreed. And I've got a soft spot for the Slaves to Darkness, just being an old school
Hmm.
Hero Quest player back when the Chaos Warriors were around. This just, man, I'm seeing chaos all over this, and
Mm. They
really,
look good.
yeah, they do look really good. So cool box set, and then the final one is the Flesh Eater Quartz. So Lawson, what are your thoughts on this one? Lots of gross vampires.
Man, I'm gonna have
Gross.
to let me pause for a minute there and apologize to anyone who plays Soulblight Gravelords, not Flesh Eater
Okay,
Quartz.
whatever. I can't keep all. It's Vengorian Court,
Yes,
Soulblight Great. It's vampires.
but it's not the same. They're different.
Yeah, but they're of the undead variety. You know,
Okay,
I'll just
well,
kind of lump them all together.
sure. All right, just don't misclassify
Okay,
the
excuse
dead
me.
guys.
I'm so sorry.
There's a difference.
I I didn't mean to offend. I apologize. I'm just saying they've got skeletons in them, just like the Bone Reapers. So,
Yeah, but
uh,
they're different skeletons.
okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
You're not doing yourselves any favor, but that's okay.
Anyways,
So it does have a really cool Mother of Nightmares model, the vampire I guess, looking model with the wings and stuff. I actually thought this was pretty cool. I like the model. I think it's some people don't, but
Hmm.
like it's trying to do too much. But I thought it was pretty cool. Good centerpiece.
Uh, unfortunately, I fall into the category of I think it's doing just a little bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's very weird. So I don't have anything against like centaur models where we fuse two different things together. Like that's cool. In this instance, I kind of just feel like it's a little. It's a lot. There's a lot to take in with this model. It's a lot to look at. The idea behind what they were trying to do was blend a vampire that was very beastly and their idea was, well, we cut the vampire in half and just glue it to the bottom half of a Vargeist and we're done. And that just felt very, I don't know. I would have preferred to have seen a model that was maybe the same size, but like fully bestial and less like half and half. But that's more of a personal preference. I just kit bashed my own and made my own Laukavai Mother of Nightmares model.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
Look at you.
I actually that is so far to date has been my most expensive kit bash. But
Look at you and your
it's
Flesh
a whole
Eater
different.
Quartz, right?
Okay, all
Right.
right. This is why we can't have nice things.
Listen, you make fun of Votan and short people all the time, and I can make fun of undead people. It's fine. It's just the
Uh,
balance. It has to
uh,
balance itself out.
I do like the skeletons.
I do. These skeletons are really, really nice skeletons. This box, honestly, this box is almost worth me to pick up because I don't have the dire
Mhm.
wolves, and I don't have those Fellbats. I never got around to picking up those models. I
Mm-hmm.
love the skeleton models. I think they're fantastic, and it'd be really nice for me to phase out the really old skeleton because I actually have some of the super old skeleton models, and it'd be nice to kind of phase them out because they suck, to be honest. They're just rough. They're rough to work with, and they're not my favorite. And to add another set of 5 Blood Knights into my army would be pretty cool. I think I have 10 total, and having an extra 5
Mm.
wouldn't be a terrible idea. So the box is pretty good. I could take or leave the Vengorian Lord or Laukavai. I could take it or leave it. I've got my
Mm-hmm.
own. Wouldn't may not be bad to pick it up because I could still just cut it into a bunch of pieces and use it for some other kit bash.
Yeah, I mean, but I think jokes aside, and I apologize for the name mix-up,
It's okay.
but the Alliance of Death, all the models, of course, it's Age of Sigmar, so all the models are already super cool.
Mhm.
So you really
Yeah.
can't go wrong, honestly. Anything the Age of Sigmar in my book is top notch. with the exception of the Fire Slayer dwarves, which are very disappointing, and they don't have any vehicles or anything really cool to write home
Vehicles.
about. Small
They
small
got their
complaint.
bare feet, man.
Yeah, that's not good enough. Anyway, cool Battleforce boxes. Make sure you pick yours up because they will go very quickly if past years are any indication. But really cool value, lots of good stuff there, and plenty to keep you busy in the months to come. So let's now talk about the new, new to the U.S. anyway. It's been around for a while in Europe for sure, but the Stormbringer magazine subscription, and I use the word magazine very, very loosely because really it is a uh, Warhammer model subscription where you pay. It is $56 a month, or I think around $14 an issue. I think that's what it comes out to for a standard subscription. And then you pay slightly more for a premium subscription, which comes out to $68 a month. For you get 4 issues a month. So you get an issue every week, and that issue comes with some plastic sprues typically. So on one week it'll come with a unit of, in this case it's Age of Sigmar, so it'll come with some Stormcast Eternals one week, and then the next week it'll come with some the Oryx, the Gut Rippas, 10 Gut Rippas, and so you can add that to your collection. And the goal of this magazine subscription, they did it with 40K with it's called Imperium, and you sign up, you pay the monthly fee, and you just really you get a ton of models. So it's a pretty good value. You're paying, you know, 14, anywhere from $14 to $17 per issue, or around, well, less than $70 a month, and you get a ton of models and or paints and brushes, and sometimes you're going to get terrain and some little things like that. So really, it just comes down to whether or not you like the models that are coming in the subscription. With Imperium, on the 40K side, it was Space Marines and Necrons. So if you didn't care for Space Marines or Necrons, probably wasn't much of a great value unless you got the premium, which came with some other stuff. And then you're just buying tons of Warhammer at that point. And in the case of Age of Sigmar, your standard issue subscription will come with either Stormcast or Oryx. And so you, over time, over a span of like a year and a half, I think, maybe even longer, you will build up an entire force. It's just a kind of a drip feed over time, which is a pretty cool way to do it if you've got the time to spend on it. So the standard comes with, you know, tons of models and terrain and paints and all kinds of stuff. And then the premium, you'll get different armies that are not just Stormcast and Oryx, but it is more models, more stuff, more. And then you
More.
get and then you get premium gifts, free gifts along with it. There's paintbrushes after a set number of issues, and then there's a heat sensitive mug with some Warhammer stuff on the outside. You know, just little extra tchotchkes and things that come with it. So all that's a lot of stuff to take in. I'm a little torn on this because I am trying to build up a Stormcast Eternals army, and you know we've talked about the backlog that I have. So what are your, you know, Lawson, what are your thoughts on this? I'm interested to know because you know you're not a Stormcast player, you're not an Oryx player. Is this something that's even interesting to you, or are you just a hard pass on it?
I am unfortunately somewhere in the middle. I think the idea and the concept is it's awesome. It's another thing to just get me kind of hooked and get me, you know, more stuff coming in, and I think that's really great. And it's really cool. I like that they send you something different every month, and you know it's similar to the White Dwarf where you could get a magazine with different missions in it, or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of it is awesome. It's really, really cool. The only thing that kind of makes me hesitate, I don't play Stormcast or Oryx, so it's a big hurdle to kind of cross to justify, you know, spending, even if it's less than $70 a month, just anywhere in the neighborhood for models for an army that I'm never going to use. It's that's a difficult hurdle to cross. Now, if it was
Mm-hmm.
Death or Sylvaneth or anything like that, maybe something different that I thought was cooler that maybe I wanted to start an army with, it would be a lot easier to convince myself. That's the only thing I think really that holds me back. The idea of getting maybe some brushes or some paints or some cool swag with like mugs and things like that. I think that's awesome. Super cool. I definitely am interested. It's just you're paying a bulk, so to speak, or a majority of your price kind of comes from the models, really,
Yeah.
and things like that. And if the majority of what I'm paying for is stuff that I'm just not going to use, it's hard to really sell it. But I'm interested. If there were different models, I would probably be all in.
I mean, and that's what it is. It is that the premium subscription is really just the standard subscription with Stormcast and Oryx, but you're also getting uh, 4 additional sets of models. You're getting Krondus, which is the dragon, the noble looking dragon guy after issue 15. You're getting Gordrak, the Fist of Gork. I mean, you're getting some extra stuff. You're getting one of the Trogoths, and one of the and some Sky Wardens from um, the dwarves. I'm trying to think of I keep wanting to say like TikTok from not the modern day app. I'm talking about TikTok from Wizard of Oz, the sequel.
Yeah.
What was that called? The Wizard of Oz 2. I don't know what it would call it, but it was the one with the pumpkin head guy and the moose on the couch, and it was such a crazy movie. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. But anyway, the premium's just more on top of the standard, and it's a good value, and it's cool to get stuff in the mail, just like White Dwarf. But Steve, I know that you picked up the 40K, a few issues of the 40K
hmm
edition, and there's a lot of value there. What are your thoughts on the Stormbringer side?
So I'm definitely in Lawson's camp here. You need to be pretty dedicated to those armies.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good bit of money if you're not. That being said, um, I was able to find some of the Imperium magazines. So your better bet may be out there if you can ever run across them in the wild without a subscription and just buy individual
Right.
issues. So I was able to get. So I bought a box of Scorpec destroyers, and I think they were like $40-ish at Blackthorn with the discount and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then they got in a pile of these issues. They're kind of random, and I bought 2 issues that had three Scorpic destroyers in each issue, and those are $13 an issue.
Yeah.
So it was the same sprues as I spent $40 for, but I was able to get 6 for less than what I bought 3 for. And I also bought another one for like $6 that had the Indomitus Lieutenant, the Primaris Lieutenant, and Roar Warden for Necrons in it. So I was like, well, those can come in handy. So I think if you just need a little piece here and a little piece there, and you can catch them out somewhere, I think here in the U.S. we are a little bit of a disadvantage because in Europe, a lot of these are sold at bookstores.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you don't necessarily have to get the subscription because a lot of like they're equivalent to Barnes and Noble or whatever, and magazine stands actually carry these over in England and stuff. So people can find these out in the wild all over the place in Europe, apparently, if Facebook is correct. And
It's never
but here I
incorrect.
don't. It's never. It's always
Yeah,
fact
always right.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But for here, I think I talked to Mark and Jane, and they could just request them, and I guess their distributor would kind of randomly send them a number of issues and stuff. But they did. I will tell you, they did not stay on their shelf for very long.
No, they
They
go
were bought
quick.
up very fast.
Yeah, I think
It's a great value.
it is a great value, and that's why they're sold so quickly, and even more at Blackthorn you get them at a discount. So I
hmm
mean, you're getting an insane value. I mean, $13 for something that you would normally pay $40 for.
Yeah.
Um, you know, But as we all know with this hobby, you're going to go broke saving money. That's just
Yeah.
the nature of the game. You're going to get yourself some Battleforce boxes. You're going to buy a ton of these Stormbringer issues. You're going to go into massive amounts of debt, but you're going to have just so much value. The more you
You're
spend,
gonna
the
have
more you
some.
save, right?
You're gonna have some awesome gray plastic sitting around.
That is 100% true. Boy, man, I'm really torn because I am trying to start up a Stormcast army, and there's all
Hmm.
kinds of cool stuff here. I just got to find somebody that will go in with me on the Oryx side. If somebody wants to play Oryx, I think I might be set. I could get this for half price, and split the
We
cost.
could
So
we could just split a Dominion box for like
no,
$120
that's
and
true.
on Amazon.
I know. But the other thing is that if you're getting an issue every single week, I mean, even if it was, let's assume for the moment that it's only 5 models or something in every
Hmm.
issue, that's still 5 models that you got to put together and paint. And I'm already thinking
Hmm.
about, oh crap, now I got the next week's issue is getting ready to come in with more models, and I got to hurry up with these, and I barely have enough time to paint the stuff that I've
Yeah.
already put together over the span of 6 months. So that's kind of the catch 22 with this, is that you could buy more, but you're also limited and with time. And at least I am. And you know, it's like you could, if you have a lot of time and this is your thing, boy, I envy you. This is a great deal. And I'd even take the premium subscription if I knew I had a ton of free time that I could dedicate to just building and painting models all the time, and Warhammer was like half my existence, then I'd be all
Yeah.
over this. But really, there's just a lot. So I I highly recommend this, especially if you're thinking about getting into Age of Sigmar. It's a great value, a cool way to get into the game, the hobby, and to build up an army with a lot of really fantastic looking models. So be on the lookout for this. Don't sleep on it, especially if you're in the U.S. If you're thinking about it, you need to go for the subscription. You can cancel at any time, so it's not like you're hooked on it for the entire duration of it. And then of course you can pick them up at a local store as long as they can hold them for you. So
Hmm.
a little bit of a gamble there, but be on the lookout for this. Pretty cool deal. Glad it's coming to the US. Well, let's wrap the show with a final segment. And there is a new game that had just recently come out for a Warhammer themed game. And it seems like they're a dime a dozen nowadays. But the new card game, Warpforge, has just hit Steam Early Access, and it's soon to come out for mobile as well, for Android and the Apple Store. But it is a card battle game, and as soon as I saw this, I got a heavy eye roll from me, because I'm not a I just that I don't like card games. The Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, the new Lorcana, depending on how you say it, the new Disney card game,
Right.
all these card games. I gotta have miniatures. I gotta have something 3D on the board, and the cards just don't do it for me. So, but this one was free, so I thought, why not? I'll just download it and I'll play it for 3 minutes, and then realize I don't like it and move on. Well, now I've played for about 15 hours, so there's that. Um, I I'll say that I don't like these card games typically, but this one I don't mind because number one, it's obviously heavily Warhammer themed, but they don't have a ridiculous amount of synergies and things to think about when you play a card. It's there's some stuff that you can stack, and I play orcs, of course. You can pick a faction, but I've just been stuck with the orcs the whole time. Very similar to how I entered 40K to begin with. Um, but stuck with orcs the entire time. Win or lose doesn't matter, and there's a lot of losing. But the there is some stacking where you could say, all right, I'm gonna drop this card, and then I'm gonna drop that card, and I'm gonna buff it with this card. But it doesn't go too deep. It's not like you have to think about 5 moves ahead. So the only so overall, I think the UI is good. The graphics, if you can, for what they're worth, it's still a card game, but it looks pretty good. A lot of some of the audio there is during the games is cool, especially when you get to, you don't really get to chat with your opponent during the game, but you can send them canned messages in your factions. They have some really good voiceovers. So I send a lot of orky stuff. When somebody makes a really good move and I know I'm getting ready to lose, which happens frequently. I think the statement is you got a lot of orky know whats. so
No,
so stuff like that, right? That's fun and pretty cool. The only downside I would say to this is it's very gatekeepy. You're going to need to buy more booster packs. Just like it is very much a mobile game that they released on PC first. Um, so if you're not into that, this is not the game for you. There's a way to do it without purchasing any additional booster packs. I've been doing that the whole time and having fun. But there are definitely some factions that are way overpowered, and they just have certain cards that completely nuke any army, and there's literally nothing I can do about it. It's the equivalent of a T-shirt save with the orcs. It's just
Mm.
nothing. I can't even. There's no synergies I could put on. There's nothing I can do, unless of course I got lucky and got certain cards with booster packs for the low price of $20 or something. I'm just not going to do that. So
No.
I know, Lawson, I know you haven't had a chance to play it. Steve, you played it for just a few minutes, but
Mhm.
and then, so my, I guess, overall review is if you like card games and you like Warhammer, sure, right? This is a fun game. If you are either or, it's free for now, early access. I would say as of someone who doesn't like card games but loves Warhammer, it does a pretty good job. So check it out. Worst case, you uninstall it. But what I wanted to ask the group here, that just for the last few minutes that we have, is I know you played Lawson specifically. You played some Warhammer mobile games.
Mhm.
Curious to what your thoughts are on the overall impact while playing those games. Does it enhance the tabletop product? Does it detract from the tabletop product, or is it just kind of meh?
I would say it could very easily go either way. So I played a lot of Warhammer Tacticus, which is
Yeah,
kind of turn. It's a turn-based hex style type of
yeah,
game.
yeah. I played
It's
that.
I enjoyed Tacticus for probably the first, I'll say, 10 hours. The problem that I personally have with Tacticus is you play, and then you plateau really hard. And the only way to really advance in any kind of feasible way is to spend money. Similar to what you said with Warpforge, you hit a spot where you can't really get better, you can't improve or win or progress unless you really just invest a bunch of money. And I'm not normally the type of person to invest in phone games or you
Mm-hmm.
know PC games that are like that are designed like that. I try to go as far as I can and do as much as I can totally free. Um, and so I've kind of Tactics is cool. So I did enjoy it, but that is if you're getting into it, that's what you have to be aware of. It doesn't take away from the tabletop experience, but it also doesn't necessarily enhance it. It is a bit more of the meh. Um, it it's cool. It's a really awesome way to stay in touch with the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Playing Tacticus, or I'm sure in your case playing Warpforge, keeps you thinking about Warhammer, keeps you thinking about
Yeah.
the hobby in general. And I think that's a pro, but it doesn't necessarily make it any cooler, but it doesn't take away from it either. So even if the mobile game or the PC game just absolutely tanks and was just bad, I don't think it's going to take away from the tabletop aspect either.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they're a fun sidebar when you're not playing the tabletop game and you just got to have more Warhammer. Um, the depth of the games is fairly shallow, which I don't mind, and that's kind of what their intention is. But It's a fun distraction, maybe, something to
Mhm.
still do Warhammer stuff without being completely into Warhammer all the time. So definitely check it out. Again, it's free, at least for now, on early access. Once it goes full retail, I'm sure it'll come out for maybe $20, $30 at most, depending on how much content they add. So check it out if you're interested in card games and Warhammer, definitely. But if you're either or, it's free. So give it a whirl, see what you think. But if you decide to play orcs, just remember, you're going to lose like the first 20 games. Just be ready for it. Just absorb it. It's going to happen, and eventually you'll get better and you'll start winning a few games. So thank you so much for listening to our show. That's going to wrap for this episode of Bolters and Booze. Thank you, Chief Librarian Lawson. I hope you enjoyed your beach-themed cocktail in the middle of Orktober.
I did.
Hope it was good, though, for you.
it
Your
was great.
mocktail. Sorry.
I hope you enjoyed your fruity beverage.
Wait a minute. This wasn't fruity. It was a Daka Smacka Thraka. Let's get it right. That name just rolls off the tongue. I don't know how you would forget that. Mm-hmm. Okay. And Steve, hope you enjoyed your very lame drink, but consistent, right?
Yep. Safe. Very safe.
Well, thank you so much for your time, attention, and your service. I am David the Warboss, and we will see you next time on Dad Hammer. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.